Have you ever stepped into a room, taken one look at the clutter and thought, where do I even begin? You're not the only one. Clutter builds up quickly, and when it becomes too much, it's natural to feel stuck and do nothing at all. But here's the uplifting part. You don't have to clear everything in one go. Today, we're walking through 9 straightforward steps that will help you tidy up without the stress. By the time you finish, you'll feel lighter, more in charge, and finally free from the chaos that's been holding you back. Let me introduce Edward. He's 72, recently retired, and enjoys his peaceful mornings with a hot cup of tea. But lately, he's been feeling weighed down. His home of over 3 decades is bursting at the seams, papers stacked in corners, clothes he hasn't worn in years, and boxes he always meant to sort but never quite got to. Every time he thinks about decluttering, the task feels too big, so he gives up before he even starts. Does that sound familiar? Here's where things take a turn. Edward doesn't stay stuck forever. He stumbles upon a simple approach that makes tidying up feel manageable, even enjoyable. The key? It's not about throwing everything out, it's about knowing the best place to begin. And when he reaches step 7, everything changes. That step alone prevents clutter from ever creeping back in again. So stay with me, because you don't want to miss it. If clutter has ever made you feel boxed in, go ahead and hit that like button. Let's take this journey together. And if you enjoy tips like these, don't forget to subscribe. We're turning your home into a place of comfort, calm, and freedom. Let's start with step 1. Celebrate one tiny win. Have you ever looked at a messy room and thought, this is too much? I have no idea where to begin? That's exactly how Edward felt. He'd walk into the living room and be greeted by piles of unopened mail, outdated magazines, and random trinkets scattered across every surface. It was easier to sigh, turn around, and promise himself he'd deal with it later. But that later never came. Here's what turned it around. He decided not to tackle the whole room. Instead, he chose something small, a single kitchen drawer. It took just 5 minutes to clear it out, toss expired coupons, and organize what remained. And you know what? That small win gave him a sense of success. It lit a little spark. The next day, he cleared another drawer, then a small pile of papers. Before long, he had momentum, and decluttering no longer felt so intimidating. Why is this so effective? Because completing even a tiny task gives your brain a dopamine boost, the same feel-good response you get from checking something off a list. Those little wins create a ripple effect. So where should you begin? Skip the big stuff. Pick one tiny target. A single junk drawer is all it takes to get started. That stack of unopened mail on your table, the random clutter on your nightstand, or even just one messy shelf in your closet. Your mission today is simple. Create one small win. No pressure, no overwhelm. So, where's your personal clutter magnet? For Edward, it was that frustrating kitchen drawer. What about you? Which spot in your home makes you sigh every time you pass by it? Let us know in the comments. And don't worry, you're not the only one facing this. Stick around, because up next is a quick and easy method that helps you get rid of obvious junk without overthinking it. Step 2. The no-brainer toss method. Ever picked up an old receipt, a pen that no longer works, or a takeout menu from a restaurant that closed ages ago and then just put it right back down? That's exactly what Harold, a 68-year-old retired auto technician, used to do. Harold wasn't keeping these things because he needed them. He just didn't want to make a decision about tossing them. His drawers were stuffed, his counters were covered in old mail, and his garage looked like a storage depot of someday items. But here's the truth. Not everything needs deep consideration. Some items are just plain trash. The no-brainer toss method is simple. If your first instinct says it's garbage, get rid of it right now. Don't pause, don't ask, what if I need this one day? If it feels like junk, it is. One day, Harold finally got fed up. He pulled open a drawer and found a stack of old takeout menus, many from places that no longer existed. He laughed, realizing he hadn't even noticed them in years. This time, he threw them out without a second thought, and that tiny moment of action triggered something. He tossed expired coupons, dried pens, odd socks, and empty lotion bottles. No guilt, no delay, just quick decisions and instant relief. There's freedom in letting go. As soon as you start discarding the no-brainer stuff, you'll feel lighter, calmer, like someone just took a backpack off your shoulders. Picture this: opening a drawer and seeing only things you actually use. No mess, no rummaging, just clarity. Try it right now. Look around. See anything obviously useless? Throw it out. Maybe it's expired food in the fridge, a frayed phone charger, or that single sock with a hole you never fixed. What's the most unusual item you've been holding onto for no reason? Drop it in the comments. And stick with us, because next we'll dive into a common decluttering mistake that trips up many older adults and how to avoid it. Step 3. The 10-minute declutter sprint. You know that sinking feeling when you think about tidying up and it suddenly feels like a massive project? Just the thought of going through everything can be enough to stop you in your tracks? That's exactly how Dorothy, a 72-year-old former nurse, used to feel. Dorothy wanted a clean, peaceful home, but the thought of spending hours tidying up made her anxious. So, like many of us, she'd put it off with a promise. I'll do it tomorrow. But that tomorrow kept getting pushed further and further away until she discovered the power of the 10-minute declutter sprint. So why is 10 minutes such a game changer? Here's the secret. Organizing your space doesn't need to take an entire afternoon. When you set a timer for just 10 minutes and declutter as quickly as you can, something shifts. Your mind doesn't get stuck in planning or hesitation, you just start moving. It flips a switch in your brain. No more dread, no more stalling. And surprisingly, you see actual progress, which feels amazing. Instead of sitting and staring at the mess, unsure where to begin, Dorothy set a simple 10-minute timer and jumped into action. She grabbed a reusable bag and started tossing anything she knew she didn't need: expired spices, random mail, old receipts. By the time the timer beeped, she already had a full bag ready to go. No fatigue, no stress, just one quick win. You can try this too. Pull out your phone and set a 10-minute countdown. Pick a single, manageable area, maybe your nightstand, a messy drawer, or just the top of your desk, and clear it out as fast as you can. When the timer stops, you stop. That's it. And the beauty is, if you're feeling good, you can always go for another round. But if not, you've still made real progress. So what will your first 10-minute challenge be? What's one space you could tackle right now? Share your thoughts in the comments and don't go far, because coming up is a clever rule to help you stop overthinking every item you pick up. Step 4. The 3-second decision rule. Picture this: you find an old sweater tucked away at the back of your closet. You haven't worn it in ages, but the moment you think about donating it, doubt creeps in. Maybe I'll wear it again, but it was a gift. What if I miss it later? And just like that, you put it back, and the clutter wins again. That's exactly the cycle Ronald, a 70-year-old retired schoolteacher, found himself trapped in. His closet was bursting at the seams, but each time he tried to let go of anything, his hesitation got the better of him. He'd stand for minutes holding onto clothes, keepsakes, even broken items, unable to decide. Then he discovered the 3C rule, and it changed everything. Here's how it works. If you can't decide whether to keep an item within 3 seconds, that's a sign it's time to let it go. Your gut usually knows the answer right away. If you pause, it means the item doesn't really serve a purpose anymore. This rule helps you make fast, clear choices and silences the guilt that keeps things around, just in case. Ronald tested it by grabbing that same old sweater. The moment he started debating, he realized he hadn't worn it in years, and he wasn't going to. So instead of placing it back on the shelf, he donated it and moved on to the next item with confidence. From there, he turned his attention to books he'd never opened and kitchen gadgets that had gathered dust for years. Before long, he had emptied an entire closet. No stress, no guilt, just a newfound sense of freedom. Here's something to remember. Guilt is one of the biggest reasons people hang on to clutter. Maybe the item was expensive. Maybe it was a gift. Maybe you feel like you should keep it. But here's the reality: a gift has already done its job if it brought you joy once. You're not obligated to keep it forever. Holding on to something you never use won't bring back the money you spent. If it no longer adds value, it's simply taking up space. So try this. Find one item that's been lingering in your home for far too long. Hold it in your hands for 3 seconds. If you feel that hesitation, it's probably time to let it go. Share in the comments what's the hardest thing you've let go of recently. And stay with me, because up next is a decluttering mistake so many of us make and a simple method that fixes it for good. Step 5. The one-touch sorting method. Have you ever tried to declutter, only to end up with more piles than you started with? That's exactly what happened to Margaret, a 68-year-old grandmother who'd been trying to tidy her home for years. Every session ended the same way, with stacks labeled, maybe keep, maybe donate, maybe toss. And then, nothing moved. The piles sat untouched for weeks. Then she discovered a strategy that changed everything. The one-touch rule. Here's how it works. Instead of shuffling things from one pile to the next, you commit to making a decision the very first time you handle something. Set up 3 containers. One for items you love and use, one for donations, and one for trash. That's it. No, maybe later stacks. And if you find yourself hesitating, remember the 3-second rule from earlier. Your gut already knows the answer. When Margaret tried this, she was amazed. She started in her closet. Her worn-out shoes, straight into the donation bag. Old makeup, trash. The sweater she cherished, that stayed. No more circling back. No more second-guessing. Just quick, confident decisions. Why does it work? Because it cuts down on delay. Clutter doesn't get a second chance to stay. You see instant progress, and that progress feels good. So here's your next step. Grab 3 bags or boxes. Choose a clutter hotspot, maybe your kitchen counter, a bathroom drawer, or a crowded shelf. Touch each item only once, and sort it on the spot. Then come back and tell me, what's the toughest item you had to part with? And don't go anywhere, because next we'll talk about a powerful mental shift that can make decluttering feel 10 times easier. Step 6. How to part with sentimental items without feeling regret. Tossing out old magazines, outdated coupons, or broken appliances is easy. But what about the things tied to memories? That's where Harold, a 72-year-old retired firefighter, hit a wall. Over time, he had collected every birthday card, travel souvenir, and ticket stub from his family adventures. His drawers were jammed, and his shelves were overflowing with tokens of the past. Each time he tried to declutter, he'd hold a letter from his late wife or a handmade card from his grandkids and wonder, how can I possibly let this go? Then he discovered a mindset shift that changed everything. Preserve the memory, not the item. Memories don't need to live in drawers. Instead of keeping physical objects, Harold began taking photos of the meaningful ones. He created a digital album to honor those moments without taking up space. Rather than hold on to an entire box of birthday cards, he laid them out, snapped a photo, and kept the image close. For the truly irreplaceable items, he made thoughtful choices. His wedding ring, a heartfelt letter from his wife, and a signed baseball from his grandson. The rest? He let go and never looked back. Letting go of emotional items doesn't mean forgetting. Many people cling to keepsakes out of fear they're erasing a memory. But here's what Harold learned. The real meaning lives in your heart, not in your closet. If everything is precious, then nothing truly stands out. Keep what brings you peace and release what weighs you down. Clearing clutter makes room not just in your home, but in your life for new moments to come. Try it now. Find one sentimental object you've been holding on to. Take a photo of it. Then ask yourself, does the physical item enhance my life, or is the memory alone enough? Drop a comment and share which sentimental object was hardest for you to release. And don't go any. Coming up next is a simple habit that helps keep clutter from creeping back in. Step 7. The one in, one out habit. Decluttering isn't only about what you get rid of, it's also about how you stop things from accumulating again. That's the beauty of the one in, one out rule. Meet Carol, a 67-year-old retired schoolteacher. After finally organizing her crowded kitchen, she felt lighter and more relaxed. But a few months later, her cabinets were back to bursting. What changed? She'd added new mugs, extra tools, more dishes, but never removed anything. That's when she adopted a new rule. For every item she brought home, one item had to go. Bought a new jacket? Time to donate one she never wore. Picked up a new novel? Pass an old one to a friend or a local book swap. Got a new coffee mug as a gift? Say goodbye to the chipped one in the back of the cupboard. It's simple, but it works. This habit helps you stay mindful of what you bring into your space and ensures your home stays organized without effort. It's clutter prevention at its best. One afternoon, Carol bought herself a new coffee mug that instantly became her favorite. But instead of simply adding it to her already full cupboard, she took an old chipped mug and placed it in the donation bin. After just a few weeks of doing this swapping and something new, letting go of something old, she noticed something remarkable. Her space was no longer silently filling with clutter. Why does this habit work so well? It's simple. It stops clutter from sneaking back in. It also helps you become more intentional with your purchases and makes maintaining an organized home feel nearly effortless. Take a moment to look around your space. Have you brought anything new into your home recently? If so, choose one older item you can release right now. Drop a comment and let us know what's one thing you'd be ready to swap out today. And stick around, because next comes one of the simplest habits to clear clutter without even breaking a sweat. Step 8. The 5-minute nightly reset. You don't need hours to keep your space tidy. Sometimes all it takes is 5 minutes before bed. That was the game changer for Robert, a 70-year-old widower. Each morning felt chaotic. His glasses would vanish, his keys would hide under piles of paper, and the television remote was anyone's guess. The clutter was making his life harder than it needed to be. Then one evening, he tried something new, a brief reset ritual. Here's how it works. You set a 5-minute timer and tidy just one area, maybe the kitchen counter, your coffee table, or a nightstand. Put things back where they belong. No deep cleaning, no pressure, just a gentle reset. At first, 5 minutes seemed too short to make a difference. But after a week, Robert noticed everything had changed. He could find what he needed. The counters stayed clear. He started waking up feeling calm and in control. Why is this so effective? Because it prevents clutter from creeping back in, saves you time looking for things, and gives you a sense of order without feeling overwhelmed. Try it tonight, set a timer, and see how much you can refresh in just 5 minutes. You might be surprised how powerful such a tiny habit can be. And before you go, tell us in the comments, what's the one item in your home that always manages to disappear? Don't go anywhere, because if you've ever felt emotionally tied to your clutter, the final step might be exactly what you need. Step 9. Change the way you see clutter. It's more than just stuff. Clutter isn't about space, it's about weight, mentally and emotionally. Every unpaid bill, unused appliance, and neglected pile of clothes is like emotional baggage. The more you keep, the more it weighs you down. That's exactly what happened to Eleanor, a 72-year-old woman who found herself surrounded by things she didn't use but couldn't bring herself to part with. Then something clicked. One day, Eleanor asked herself, "Am I holding on to this out of guilt? Does this bring happiness into my life, or is it just taking up space?" And that question changed everything. She paused and asked herself, would I rather enjoy open space and calm or keep clinging to things I don't even use? That was the moment everything shifted. Her home wasn't meant to feel like a warehouse, it should be a sanctuary of peace. So Margaret began small, letting go of one thing at a time. Each item donated, every bag of clutter removed, brought with it a sense of lightness she hadn't felt in years. Suddenly, she could sit in her favorite chair and take in the quiet without feeling surrounded by mess. Her mornings felt easier, her thoughts clearer. And what she discovered was profound memories live in our hearts, not in the piles of things we store. A home isn't meant to preserve every piece of the past. It's meant to support the life you're living now. Picture this. You wake up tomorrow and walk into a tidy, peaceful space. No clutter on the counters, no mystery drawers filled with junk, just clarity, comfort, and room to breathe. Start with one action today. Pick a single item and release it. See how different it feels. Then, share with us what's one item you finally decided to let go of. Remember, decluttering doesn't have to be exhausting. Begin with baby steps, stay consistent, and part ways with what no longer brings joy or purpose. You don't need a bigger home, just less stuff. So go ahead, choose a small area, set a 10-minute timer, and use the no-brainer toss method to clear out what you know you don't need. Reinforce the habit with a 5-minute reset each night. And if this message helped you, be sure to give it a thumbs up and share it with someone who might need this little nudge toward freedom.